Okay. Yo, Billy, you know what's awesome?
What's that, man?
Movie artwork, yo, especially on the VHS boxes.
Hell yeah. So we've mentioned it before, but used to be going to the video store was a thing. It wasn't flipping through Netflix for like 45 minutes to figure out you don't really want to watch something and you go do something else. It was like you go to the video store and you peruse the aisles. you look at the stuff. And so because of that, production companies, from the big ones to the small ones, hired people called artists to render images that would sit on front of these boxes, and whether the movie was any good or not, it drew you in and made you want to buy it or rent it or whatever. So there's this thing lately, like for example, Stranger Things. Stranger Things is on Netflix. If you have Netflix, you can go watch Stranger Things right now for free. But if you go to Target, Target has an exclusive DVD version of Stranger Things with a cover that looks like an old beat up rental VHS with the stickers and the scratches and all of that stuff. And even though most people have Netflix and most people who would want to see Stranger Things have seen Stranger Things, people are still buying that case because it throws back to the video store when we used to go. And we've actually done the episode on the video store, but it was more the experience of like the Friday night pizza video movie, hanging out with your friends sort of thing. This is more the videos themselves, the videos that made us, right?
Right. Yeah, very much so.
So yeah, we're going to talk about some art and some artists and some great movies with good posters and some bad movies with great posters, and
and then we'll get to the impulse buys or the impulse rentals, right? The beauty of it is you would spend longer picking up the videotapes, flipping them over and looking at the artwork. You would do that longer than the movie would actually be if you just sat and watched it.
Yep.
So, you would, on Friday night, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're at the video store and you're there for 2 hours picking out 3 movies that you'll watch 2 or 3 times a piece over the weekend.
Yep. Or half of one, because you're like,
Mom, you'll be like, yes,
this is not good. Or your mom comes in and is like, what is this trash?
So let's start off with heavy hitters, right? The ones that are just iconic artwork. The first thing that comes to mind to me when I think of just awesome artwork that just pops in my head, it's got to be like the Indiana Jones stuff, right?
Dude, yeah. Well, and that's one of those famous artists. We're gonna top line it. But when I said like there was artists that were hired, like, so when you're talking about Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, those sorts of things, you had a guy, his name was John Alvin. He's known for Blade Runner, E.T., Beauty and the Beast, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Blazing Saddles. A lot of these are like stylized photograph style, like kind of realistic. So you had pictures of the actors, pictures of scenery in the background. But these are just iconic. Like they said, Raiders of the Lost Ark with Indy sitting there with that whip flipping around over the top of his head. Yeah. For me, you mentioned Star Wars before we started, and you're like, well, people didn't go see Star Wars but Star Wars still, I mean, you look at those original artworks, those, with Luke with this holding his sword up and Vader in the background, it's the good and the evil, and the princess is like holding his leg and stuff. I mean,
it's iconic.
It's iconic.
It really is. Yeah.
For me, I think one of the most striking movie posters ever was Jaws. I mean, there's, I was just posted on Facebook, my 7-year-old, she's 6 at the time, but we're sitting there walking to like Barnes and Noble, and there's like the DVD of Jaws, and it's just sitting on a little rack, and she looks and she's like that shark's gonna eat that girl. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, he is. I was like, she's about to be shark poop. She's like, sharks poop? Like, yeah, everything poops. She's just like, But she had to think about that for a second. But man, it really, she stopped and picked, like, she was looking at it like this is serious. This is something here. And yeah, Jaws, the movie poster, well, all the movies posters for Jaws were pretty awesome. Yeah. So again, if you go into a video store and you haven't heard of Jaws, then that one might draw you in to check it out. Sure. Because it's not about dental school.
And look at the simplicity of the Jaws poster, but that you can almost look at the Alien poster and get the same vibe from it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that it's laid out, right? I mean, it's almost laid out the same way. But come on, man, that Alien poster with the egg, I mean, it's just, how did you even, I mean, it's one of those days, the days when you didn't know, they didn't show you in the poster what you were going to be exposed to.
Right.
I mean, Jaws is a different story, but Alien's that thing where an egg.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Whatever's in here can't be good.
Yeah.
Again, with some of these heavy hitters, you have Richard Amsel, so The Dark Crystal, Flash Gordon, the Muppet movies, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Again, style similar to John Alvin, that same kind of, realistic stylized photograph. And then you have Drew Struzan, who, like, for one of my favorite movies ever, but The Thing, what more can be said about The Thing than just the blinding light exploding out of the guy's head? This, whatever's going on. It's interesting. It draws you in. Back to the Future, The Goonies, First Blood. He did the first 2 Harry Potter movies. And again, similar style to these other guys. But the thing is, like, these were paintings. These were full on, like, you're being commissioned. Here's a picture of the actors. Here's a couple of stills from the dailies. Make us an awesome poster. And these guys would. And,
it's truly something we've lost, because you look at the trends from the 90s on, and artwork's almost become just kind of second
fiddle. And there's jokes about it. It's like how many blue and orange posters can you get to show you it's an action movie? Or how many like leading man and leading lady, like, arms crossed back to back can you get? It's like, at one point that was actually a clever idea, and then 100 movies followed it.
Everybody started doing it.
And
the whole 90s thing where it's like a headshot of everybody in a V shape, right? And then it'll say whatever the movie is in the middle of it. Halloween 2.0 or H2O, and
then of course then you've got character A, B, C, and D across the screen, and then their names are D, A, E, F, and Q, because F and Q are not on the poster, but they're higher build, and you're just like, what the? Man. But
we've lost that, because the whole red box thing's kind of killed it, because they pretty much just make them all look generic and the same. With Netflix, you just get a single shot from the movie kind of thing, and it's a shame, because it's really kind of disappeared.
And they used to just, these are the sorts of things that, again, you'd sit there and just stare.
Yeah,
dude, I wasn't allowed to watch scary movies when I was a kid, so I'd go to the video store and I'd just stare at the back of the video of the cassette and imagine, like, what's the story behind this guy? What's the story behind the egg? What's going on with the like, what was it, The Abyss, where it's like on the back, it was just the
wavy
water
thing.
Character. Yeah. But going back even further than that. So what's some of your go-tos? Like, what's your like, this is going to be awesome, so I'm going to get it.
Well, again, my go-tos when it comes to totally purchasing off of the artwork, not knowing anything about the movie. That's what I like about this conversation is, think about the first time you saw the cover of Reanimator, right? So for you folks listening, here's something interesting. You want to check out the video version of this show because we're going to show pictures of this artwork as we go along to kind of give you a better idea. So if you know what we're talking about, that's one thing, but we're going to name off a lot of stuff here that you may be like, I don't remember that, but trust me, when you see like, oh yeah, but Reanimator, the head on the desk, the syringe in the hand, the bright
yellow
glow in the dark letters. I mean, it's iconic. I mean, I remember grabbing that movie, and that's one of the first movies I remember grabbing and watching, and it delivered everything that was on the cover. I mean, usually it was some far-fetched thing that never happens.
Or it just happens for a split second.
And this movie just kept giving and kept giving and kept giving. I mean, I literally, after watching the movie, I pulled the tape out, ran to my neighbor's house and said, you got to watch this.
Yeah. And we did an early show on Reanimator, and that was one of those that, again, Reanimator never lets you down, but everything about it, the whole movie is just a crazy ride, but up to and including its packaging, because you're right. Like, you pretty much know what you're getting. You're like, okay, there's some crazy stuff right here. So
I figured maybe we can just bounce back and forth because I think you probably got a lot. I've got a lot. This would be a good conversation thing.
For me, and this is not on any kind of a list so much as just when you mention Reanimator, I was always struck by the cover of Evil Dead 2.
Oh, yeah.
And of course I wasn't allowed to watch that. I was younger, but it took me a while. Like, I remember the first couple times because there's all kinds of gory stuff, and the cover of Evil Dead 2 is really not that bad, but it's disturbing. There's something just not right about it until you realize that skulls don't have eyeballs, but this one does, right? And so it's just got this, and the look on his face is just very knowing, right? So like whatever is under this cover is, it's either something really crazy or like really nasty. Like there's something in here that's worth seeing. And as it turns out, that is absolutely true. And in fact, this is one of those was like that guy is a transitional, like he's changing, he's morphing, and like you see him for a split second, that's a cut from the film. So he's actually in it. Right. Yeah. And when I say that guy, it's Ash, but it's just like it's a screenshot of him morphing and going crazy. So it's not just one of those covers that tells you like, oh, hey, here's something neat. It's actually in the movie. So,
I mean, of course, talking about that and you're saying, what's inside of this. And if you looked on the back, there was Bruce Campbell being strangled by a severed hand.
Yeah.
And so the combination of the front picture and then the severed hand choking the guy on the back, you're like, okay, this looks crazy enough. And I think we've talked about this one before. I think, we're not treading any new ground here, but I'm glad you brought up Evil Dead 2 because Evil Dead 1, man, this poster. And a buddy of mine just posted his love for the first Evil Dead movie, and I put on there possibly the first horror movie that I was obsessed with, and it all started with this picture. When I saw the bodies, reaching up out of the ground and the hand around the throat, I'd never seen anything like that before, and
it's awesome.
And even though it doesn't really happen in the movie, it doesn't really matter. That artwork's amazing, and the movie's amazing. So, yeah. So there you go. Evil Dead 1 and 2 for sure.
Well, like my next one, and you have to understand because was it Friday the 13th came out in 1980, so I would have been 4. And then part 2 came out in 81, so I would have been 5. So I'm still like treading water here on the being able to watch scary movies.
Right.
And so I haven't seen any of these movies, but I know the cover of Nightmare on Elm Street. I know the hockey mask. Like I'm familiar with these iconic things. And then a little movie called Sleepaway Camp Part 2, where she's got a backpack that has all of those things in it. She's got the gloves, she's got the mask, and like that one was like, okay, kind of like Jason versus Freddy, where everybody's so excited. You're like, okay, I know that these are individual franchises, but she's got all that crap in her own backpack. Like there's got to be something cool in here. And I think I saw Sleepaway Camp Part 2 before I saw Part 1, actually. And I didn't really understand it because you need to see Part 1 to understand Part 2. But and the original, the Part 1 with the knife through the shoe and the letter home. I mean, that's iconic as hell. I mean, that's amazing. But yeah, it was like for eye catching and just sitting there like staring at a box. It was Angela in Sleepaway Camp Part 2, which, by the way, our little horror show has expanded. It's gotten kind of crazy. Some local guys were doing the Houston Horror Film Festival, and they were supposed to have an event, and it got shut down. But their hotel, their hotel that they were going to do it at was like, "Can you guys do something?" So Tony called in some favors, and they did the first event. And the first event was, Felissa Rose was one of the guests. Yeah. And this is about Sleepaway Camp. So she came, and everybody, so then they did this was in October. The second one was in January. And she had such a good time and did pretty well. So she called Tony and was like, "Hey, I want to come back." And he's like, "Well, you were just here." She's like, "I will pay my own way just to come and be, because the whole con world is shut down right now." Right. And he had do something. He had it all set up to where it was like, and Scott and I volunteered, but had it all set up to where it was like very spaced and safe, and everything was awesome. But yeah, it's like hanging out with Felissa Rose in the green room, chilling. That's awesome. So, and we've got another one coming up in March now. So we joined forces. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, it's one of those things like looking at the back of a VHS tape and being like, man, who are these people? And now I'm meeting and knowing these people. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Sleepaway Camp 1 and 2, I guess you throw them in there together.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up Nightmare on Elm Street, man. I used to stare at that original poster in a VHS store and just go, "What in the heck is this?" Because it's just her in the bed. You see that look on her face, the fear. You see the blood kind of scratches. You see the glove. I mean, it's just like, I just remember being in total awe of that poster. And yeah, to me, that's an iconic horror poster. Most of these are going to tend to be more in the horror genre because, like you said, this is when we were 13, 14, 15, just at the age when your parents would take you to, a video store, and this was the stuff you gravitated towards,
Well, too, though, a lot of the mainstream movies, like, and not to discount horror in any way, but a lot of your more mainstream movies and video stores, horror was the only thing that really had an independent presence.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they really solicited the artwork.
if it was drama, there's not a whole lot of people going out and renting a camera to go out into a field to film, a Kramer versus Kramer knockoff. Like it's, hey, I got a camera, we've got a sheet, let's make a ghost story. And that's a lot of where a lot of people start. So it's gonna skew more towards the horror because the horror is the only real one that has the independent presence, the independent filmmakers that became mainstream later because of the horror genre. But yeah, and then they also solicited the great posters.
That's our exploitation. Mm-hmm. That's our real exposure to that. We just didn't know that's what it was because nobody ever says, "Boy, that VHS artwork of a Postman Ring Twice Sure is killer. I mean, but when you say, man, that artwork for Dead and Buried,
yeah,
is fantastic. I mean, you
gotta hold it. Hold it.
Oh, yeah.
Hold it further back towards you. There it is. There it is. There it shows up.
I mean, a lot of people don't know this movie, but they know the artwork.
Yep.
Right?
I don't think I've ever seen it, but
oh, dude,
you need
to see it.
It's good.
But what you got next?
Friday the 13th, Part 4.
Part 4. Iconic.
I mean, we've done an entire. We've talked about Friday the 13th a lot. But dude, like the knife through the eye of the mask, and that's it. It's just
what a statement.
Yeah, and I use that, and that's probably that's going to be my favorite Friday movie, I think, because of the cover, almost because I just sat there staring at it, wondering what's going on. On the back again, you got Corey Feldman. He's got his little monster masks, and it's. I mean, it tells you a lot without saying hardly anything at all, and it's awesome. So that's one that definitely got my attention. I sat there and need to know about this thing going on.
So my next one, I'm kind of going to go a little. This is a little different because the artwork is not. It's not crazy, gory, over the top. But I think because of the simplicity of it, it made it even scarier. And that's the cover for the first Faces of Death.
Oh, yeah. Right? Hell yeah.
I mean, it looks like the cover of a death metal album more than anything else. But, I mean, it's a skull. It just says Faces of Death on it. And the rest of it's black, and you picked it up. You picked it up. Yeah.
Well, and I lived it's crazy because you live in small town too, but I live in a small town where I was half convinced that it was fake. Like I half believed that Faces of Death was a rumor because everybody always talked about it, and they always talked about some brother's best friend that had seen it, but nobody ever actually had it. And it wasn't until I was older that I actually saw it, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is real!" Like this.
I mean, it's almost the reverse psychology of what artwork does, right? Because the artwork makes you say, "Oh man, here's what goes on in this movie," whereas this is the kind of like, "There's stuff in here so bad we can't even show you on the cover what's in it," and it's simplistic, but very to the point. I mean, it works. I mean, it's infamous, right? I mean, it's one of the most popular VHS rentals ever.
So. I mean, I would have if I could have. Just nobody had it. Right? Happy Birthday to Me, where the dude's got the skewer through the back of his mouth.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie. But
really?
But I can tell you, like, you can take the titles off and show that picture, and I'd be like, here we go. It's Happy Birthday to Me. I mean, there's ones that just slip by. You know what I mean? Like, you just think. But yeah, I don't.
Oh, dude, that's you need to check that one out.
Well, funny story. When we first started Scary Dad podcast, Scott and I were talking about Halloween 3. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen, like, I know I've seen it, but I don't remember it. Like, and then I watched it, and it was a very weird thing because I think I'd probably seen it on TV or like cut for TV because it was jarring in that weird sort of way. It's like, I've seen every scene in this movie, but I don't think I've ever seen them strung together in order. Like, I've seen this part and I've seen that part. And I've seen this part over here. And then whenever I was like, I have seen this movie actually quite a bit. But it just never occurred to me that was the movie I was watching. And so there's a lot of them in there that And you're like, how is that possible? How did you not press play on Netflix? Because that's the power of cable TV and late night Showtime and Cinemax and stuff like that. Yeah. So,
well, just like you talking about, not seeing Happy Birthday to Me, and I'm going, well, in my mind, I can see why you have it, because there is a little age difference, not huge, but there's a line there too, right at cable TV, where, and VHS as well. I mean, these are, some of these movies came out before the real big boom. Mm-hmm. And, Happy Birthday to Me is 1980, maybe, right in there, mm-hmm. Late 70s, early 80s. So it's right before the big horror boom, Yeah. I mean, you're coming out of Halloween. You hadn't quite hit the impact of maybe Friday the 13th was already out because it was kind of in that same ball field. But it's one of those that gets overlooked. But like you said, that artwork. And here's the thing about it. It's Happy Birthday to Me, but the picture doesn't have anything to do with a birthday. It's a dude getting a shish kebabs skewer shoved down his throat.
Yeah.
And you go,
that's not a very happy birthday at all.
Right. So they were just doing that same thing, and it's got to be from the Friday the 13th popularity, because that's what everybody was doing. They're looking for every holiday after Halloween came out and find a horror version that they could use. So, hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
With that being said, a movie from around the same point on my end is Tourist Trap. The cover of Tourist Trap is a nightmare.
Okay.
That figure on the cover of Tourist Trap is just one of the scariest things I've ever seen. It's a mask, but
I'm trying to picture it in my head, but
it's right there in that same time period. It's where Tanya Roberts is fighting Chuck Connors, the rifleman.
Yeah. Okay, color me completely intrigued. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh yeah,
here.
If you haven't seen, trust me, you got to see it. I mean, remember they remade House of Wax with Paris Hilton or whoever it was that was in it. That is really a remake of Tourist Trap.
Okay.
So I mean, that's everything that happens in it is the story of Tourist Trap.
Check it out, because I don't know, but yeah, I'll have to check out the.
Dude, there's some creepy stuff in that movie, man. It really is. Is it the best movie? No, but the stuff that's in there keeps making people come back. So, all you Tourist Trap fans out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So.
I'm gonna have to go with Fright Night.
Sure.
That the
cloud.
Yeah, and the house.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say that it's a vampire. I mean, I'm sure it does on the back, but the cover doesn't say that it's necessarily a vampire movie. Right. You've just got this fanged monster woman with a big smiling grin, just
Yeah.
You're like, whatever is going on here is somebody's up to no good, and Fright Night is just so good. It's just such a great movie for so many reasons. Like, it hits on funny, and it hits on action, and it hits on scary and creepy and dangerous and violent. Like, it just got so much going for it. But you don't know that from the cover. All you know is that, like, the cover might as well just say awesome in here. Like, because the cover, again, just wraps it right up, and that scene's actually in the movie too.
Right. Right.
Once that reveal happens too, it's almost like, whoa, because that's a big change. You know what I mean? So it's really rad. But yeah.
So I brought this one up on the last episode. Well, not the last episode, 2 episodes ago, and I would have never watched this movie if it wasn't for the artwork, and that's Sword and the Sorcerer. I saw it, that's the movie where I said the guy's got the 3 blades on the single sword and 2 of them shoot. The artwork's got more of a Conan-ish type dude standing there that's actually, not the guy that's in the movie with the sword. and you got the Sorcerer in the background, and I mean, it's just, you know, I was like sold. I mean, if this thing even has a sword in it with 3 blades, yeah, I'll take it.
Right, I'm totally in.
Yeah, and I got way more than that out of it. So
I'm having a crooked glasses sort of a moment, like my headphones and my glasses, and like I'm looking at myself in the thing, and I'm like, people are gonna pop up and be like, dude, who just punched you? It's weird having like a reflection of yourself moving while you're talking. So
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Critters.
Oh yeah.
Because again, you don't know what it is, but you know whatever it is bad news. And then I love how they have like a handful of bloody critters on the back, like big old smiling faces and bloody teeth.
Stuff like, hanging out. Yeah.
Like, you know, this is going to be good. So
yeah, I mean, the artwork on the front is very cartoonish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at it going, it intrigues you just enough that you have to check it out, because you're like, there's no way something like this would be in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, but once it gets going, you're like, man, this movie's awesome.
When they start getting about half beat, and then all of a sudden they just join hands, you're just like, oh, that's awesome.
Man. I got another one here that's not horror, but I have to hand it back to Canon Films, man. You want to talk about some artwork? These guys knew how to do it. And I have to go with Revenge of the Ninja, which is the second ninja movie. Sho Kosugi over the city skyline, weapons in hand.
Got that awesome, like that bent knee kick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, there was no question that was coming to the house.
Oh yeah. Well, American Ninja, like all of that, like karate, even Karate Kid. I mean, that's not like we saw that in the theater. There was no question. But again, they had the cool artwork with him like silhouetted against the sun. But yeah, every ninja movie, it was.
Even Jim Cotta. I rented Jim Cotta because I thought, hey, all right, cool. It's martial arts. Look at this dude on the cover. Boy, what a surprise.
Not so much. Yeah, I'm going to go with, and this is a mainstream, but long before I was able to watch it, I used to just sit there and stare at Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Liberty, the
just
crashed
opens
out
up
cars,
a whole world
just
to
like,
you. Yeah.
What is going on here? Yeah. And we did a whole episode on how awesome that movie is, and the director and the actors and like the cast, but you can almost not see the movie and get the same effect from just staring at the cover long enough, because it's that good. It's just like, okay, obviously crap's going down, but the cover is just iconic. It's so good. And when you watch the movie, and pretty much all those scenes are in it, you're like, and it's just a scene of the street. But like in the movie, when he's running up and down the street, like it's all abandoned and there's trash and old fires and wrecked cars and just everything. It's like, I was promised, I was delivered what I was promised. It showed up, and it's awesome.
All right, I'm going to bring up one that is, the original movie poster is iconic, but I'm going to be talking about the actual VHS box, which probably was the start of me being fascinated by movie art and making me want to rent the movie. Even though this movie is legendary, this box terrified me, and I still can't put a finger on it why. So I'm talking about the media version. That's the company Media, when they bought the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. they released a VHS, totally different artwork than the girl on the hook and the chainsaw and, you know, the iconic poster. They made a box that is more like a drawn cartoon looking Leatherface with her eyes back behind and he's here in the middle. And I'm still terrified of this box. Because one, I had not seen it, right? So it almost goes back to your Friday the 13th kind of thing, right? You don't know, you knew enough about it because of people talking, or even Faces of Death. You heard the legend, but you never saw anything that even reflected what Leatherface looked like, you know? So I'm seeing for the first time Texas Chainsaw Massacre on this cassette and this drawing. And I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's almost kind of a beige color.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. And
yeah,
I can see how that's keep you up at night. Cause
it was, I mean, of course I was, 11 years old, and it's one thing to be, to hear, here's the movie that everybody's always talked about. And here's a cover that is so different from the original. I don't know, man. It just really, I think media got the rights to a lot of different movies at that time, and they were really pushing, for this different artwork on stuff. That one's always stuck with me, man. It just, it's there's something to it, and I can't put my finger on it.
It's because Chainsaw is an extremely scary movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's arguably the best horror movie ever made.
It's shot, documentary style. Yeah. You don't know what you're getting into. It's already been qualified as a true story, so that's already got you put on edge.
Yeah.
Everything about it is weird. There is no safe space in the whole thing. I mean, at the end of the day, they live next door to these people. So like they're the property next door because they went out to grandparents' house. So like, what happened to the grandparents? But still, like that's even irrelevant. But like, there's no going home. Like it's
even though Sally gets away at the end, she gets away, but you're pretty much sure that she's just going straight to the nut house because
she's done.
There's no getting over that, So but that artwork, man, and I still hadn't seen the movie. I didn't see the movie till way later on. I wouldn't even rent that thing because it had that power over me, right? So that's just one of those, man. We've all had that movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Pick it up and go, yeah, not today.
Yeah. I'm not in the mood for that sort of thing. I'd rather just, get was it Back to the Future or something completely. Right. So like, I remember we've mentioned, like it was current at the time. And so all of my friends, well, I had like a cousin and a friend from school. So there was like 3 of us. And we got my parents to rent. It was Friday the 13th, part 5. It was the first Friday I'd ever seen. And I swear to God, dude, after that movie was over, I watched Return of the Jedi all the way through. And I probably watched a Disney movie I couldn't, there was no way I wasn't going to sleep.
Shake it. Right. Shake it. Yeah.
I just couldn't handle it because those kills in the movie are brutal as hell. Right.
They really are.
So, but yeah, it's like, I'm going to just put this one back on the shelf. I'm going to wait till I'm a little bit older because, Chainsaw's rough anyway. And then, you have reinterpretations like, oh, here's some really scary parts. So we're just going to, manipulate and throw up at you.
Right.
But, dude, the cover of House with the cut off finger at the
Ding
doorbell.
dong, you're dead.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah.
And again, it's like some of these are not obscure, bad movies that one of Scott's favorite movies is Basket Case or Motel Hell. Like those are a couple of, and you guys did a short bus on that one. That's where the guy's holding the eyeball. It's
Blood Salvage.
Blood Salvage. Yeah. There's some really great covers to movies that are not so great, but I don't.
Yeah, I've got a few of those coming up.
I never saw Blood Salvage, but I remember that cover. I remember Basket
Waste your
Case.
time. Listen to Short Bus instead.
I remember Basket Case was pretty. It's crazy. It's all this.
Yeah, it's got a charm to it though, man.
No, I didn't remember
also,
bad.
Yeah,
but the cover is like.
I like the second one too, pretty good. Basket Case, and then also Brain Damage with little Elmer.
Yeah. I was gonna say what is the movie with the guy's face is peeled off and it's nailed to the ring?
Well, I think that's called Brain Damage too, isn't it?
It's either Brain Damage or Brain Dead, but yeah,
Brain Dead. It's Brain Dead.
That's one of those ones. It's like like
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on in here, but I don't like that.
Right. Yeah, again, that's the power of it, right? So it's as simple as saying chopping ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't help but look at it because you got a robot hand holding a bag with a hole in it. You can see like a head in it and an arm in it, and you're like, okay, I got to see this.
Of course.
And what you get is nothing like what you think the cover is telling you it's going to be.
Yeah, because they don't actually chop. They blast.
Yeah.
Chopping Mall was so good.
It's fun, man. It's a fun one. Yeah. What you got?
Pumpkinhead.
On my list. I was going to say it next.
That's one that, I mean, it's you can't really get from the name of it what it's about, because it's just, I mean, obviously the monster's named Pumpkinhead, but
yeah,
there's just this kick-ass monster on it.
That cover, man. I mean, that's one of those movies I didn't know anything about. Saw the cover, rented it, and was blown away. Actually,
yeah, Pumpkinhead's amazing.
It really is.
It tells you Stan Winston should have been a director too, because he knocked that one out of the park. And yeah, I remember listening to you talking about Frodo, redneck Frodo on Hail Ming. Like the little kids in there singing the song. I'm like, this character that would have just never been like. But yeah, he's got that nappy mullet that looks like he's wearing a coonskin cap, and he's not.
I think he was saying he hears a noise, so he gets off his sister out of bed and goes and looks out the window. I mean, it's just yeah. That's Hail Ming. That's one of my favorite Hail Ming episodes, by the way. But,
that was great.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead, that poster, and there's been all kinds of re-imaging and stuff that they've done, other artworks and stuff, but you just can't beat that original artwork. You can't. Danny's even got a T-shirt of the original. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's what drew you in, and it delivered.
Well, yeah, and again, I can't understand why they would, because the story behind that movie is Stan Winston made the monster before he had something to put it in, and it just kind of sat there, and they were like, we really need to do something with him because he's awesome. And so then they made Pumpkinhead around it, as opposed to like, hey, we've got a commission for a werewolf. Okay, I'll build a werewolf. It's like, we just built this monster for no reason, and here he is. So we're just gonna, So
or you do the Rawhead Rex thing. Hey, we got the story about this penis head monster. Well, I'm not building that. Here's one for you. Gates of Hell. In other words, City of the Living Dead, Lucio Fulci.
Okay.
You've got the ruined city underneath, that skull head, again with eyeballs like Evil Dead 2, hovering over the city. Man, that thing used to shake me to my core as a kid when I looked at it. I thought, man, the devil's going to jump out of that videotape any second.
Speaking of devil, the cover for Legend is pretty legendary.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a little flack because we didn't mention Legend on our fantasy episode.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're talking about it now.
Hey,
so there you go. There you go, Rye.
Tim Curry, man.
Yeah.
God, that prosthetics is amazing too. Those big old horns, like, oh.
Top notch. At the same time that I was totally enthralled with the poster from Nightmare on Elm Street, right beside it. This is great because I can see myself at 13, 14 years old in this video store, and I can stand directly where I saw these pictures. Nightmare on Elm Street's right here. Then there was a poster for a brand new movie that just came out called Company of Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
That artwork, man. I mean, I you know, you've got you people that are actually seeing the video, you'll see the picture, but the girl with the mouth, that's a good dude with his mouth open.
With a wolf
mouth,
snout.
Yeah, the wolf snout coming out of his mouth. At that time, I thought this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So, and for a while, I kind of had mixed feelings on the movie, you know. Mm-hmm. Over time, I think it's really, really good now.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
I thought it was a little slow back in the day, you know, but it delivers. I mean, there's some really good effects in it. But that art cover, man, I mean,
yeah, that cover wins. I mean, that's really that was same thing. It's like, oh, this is something.
Yeah.
Because I went through a werewolf phase. So again,
me too.
American, and you know, that's probably around the same time as American Werewolf in Paris came out, and was just like, anyway.
Yeah, to me, there's only a handful of werewolf movies, right? Yeah. I mean, that I would even consider worth watching, and Company of Wolves is kind of where it stops, really. I mean, there's a few stragglers out there, some recent stuff that looks pretty decent, but in this time period, this one and the next movie I'll bring up when we come back after yours.
I was going to say, it's like, probably would have watched it anyway, but Trick or Treat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Sammy Kerr, man.
Just
the guitar.
Oh, man. He's just rising up out of hell. And again, you have to remember, like, the Satanic Panic was on so hard, and I lived in a small town, and
yeah,
I mean, you had and Sammy Kerr's design right off of that LA hair metal, you know. But man, you had Motley Crue kicking ass, and with pentagrams and satanic imagery and John Carpenter set design. Like, I mean, they were at the top of their game at that moment. And then this movie comes out, and you've got essentially Nikki Sixx just rising up through the grave, you know, out of his bedroom floor, really.
Playing a BC Rich, which is the most demonic guitar you can have at the time, right?
Of course. Yeah, that dude.
Classic, man.
That dude looked rough, like in a good way. Like, ooh.
Yeah. Everybody knows my love of Trick or Treat.
Yeah. I thought it was an oddly named movie, Trick or Treat, considering. You know, like
it really. I mean, the only thing about it is it happened on Halloween night was the big kicker. So I never understood why it was named that, but anyways, it doesn't matter. It's an awesome movie.
Of course.
All right. We talked about Company of Wolves, and like I said, the werewolves movies. The original artwork for The Howling, to me, is still one of the scariest posters I have ever seen, because there's so many questions of what you're seeing, right? Because it's the tapestry in front with the claws ripping through, and you see the woman's mouth behind in agony. You know, it's like, is something happening to her?
Is she changing?
I mean, so it's so clever. That artwork is so clever and simple. And I've never seen anything else pull that off as well as that one.
No, you're right. That's it really is. Again, it's a thinker. It's one of those, again, we're sitting at the video store looking at movies. You're like, I've seen this one before, but wait, did I miss something?
Right.
So I'm starting to run low here. My next to last is going to be probably the gate. Because again, like,
love the gate.
It's a backyard. It's a backyard with a board on it. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the thing is,
got it right here somewhere.
we all had that in our backyard. We didn't have a gate to hell, but you might have a couple of 2x4s and a piece of plywood that you made a skate ramp and you decided to do a little lean-to with, and like
you're afraid to pick them up because there could be a snake or something in there, or worse.
Yeah. So it's like, but so when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I had a kid that lived across the street from me, and he was probably like 11. So there was a significant enough age difference that he was able to do a lot of things that I was not able to do. But I used to go hang out and play with him, and we'd play video games and watch TV and stuff like that. Well, his parents were never around, but he had money, so he was able to just go. Like, he couldn't drive; he'd ride his bike, but he decided he wanted to build a treehouse in his backyard. And so he got his parents to get him a whole bunch of lumber, and so he started building this treehouse in his backyard. And what this treehouse, I'm sure the treehouse may have turned into something, but what it actually turned into was a whole bunch of 2x4s with 3-inch nails sticking out. Ooh. And so I went over to his house one time and I stepped on a nail. And I don't remember specifically, and I'm trying to remember here on the show here, but it's like I was not barefooted when I left my house, but when I went home, my shoes were off. So maybe we just stepped outside, like we were watching TV, and my shoes kicked off. Anyway, I stepped through this nail and it went up and pushed the skin up, like whoop. And I popped off of that nail and ran all the way home. And my dad came out later, and there's blood streaks where every time my foot landed,
right,
he was like, you were leaping, because like there was a blood streak here and a blood streak way over there. Like there wasn't like pitter patter. It was like I was galloping. Right. And you're like, oh, there might be something worse under there. It's like, I've seen the worse. That worse is a kid who didn't build his damn treehouse, and I ended up with a tetanus shot. That's what happened.
My dad almost had the exact same story. They were tearing down an old barn, and he jumped down, and a nail went up through his foot. It went through his shoe, like here, and then up through the top of his shoe and came out of the top.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure you got some tetanus shots as well.
I still shudder at that. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah.
The gate though. I was like, oh yeah, you got some plywood in the backyard. You got something covering a hole.
I tell you, man, that movie still got some stuff in it too that's pretty bothersome, man. The zombie guy that those little creatures turn into that comes through the wall. That's creepy as crap, man.
That's a scary movie.
Yeah. And when he falls on the ground and he breaks off into
oh yeah.
Great stuff. All right, I've got about 3 or 4 left. They're all low budget, except for this one. I want to bring this one up just because, again, it's not going to show.
It's not showing. There it is.
It's my Phantasm poster. There it is.
There it is. It's ghostly.
Come on, man. The scary woman making the face, the tall man, Michael floating in the air. This thing haunted me. The jaw was back here in the back,
with like lion roars.
and the fact that the tall man is almost kind of snickering in the picture, like, I got you,
We're gonna have us some fun.
Yeah. So that one always is just amazing. Blood Beach. Have you ever seen Blood Beach?
No, you mentioned it. I haven't got a chance to watch it, but
it's not great. It's a Jaws knockoff. But the poster, it's kind of like the Evil Dead where the body's coming up out of the ground. So it's reverse Jaws. Mm-hmm. There's a creature that lives in the sand that's attacking people on the beach. And this girl is from waist up, sticking up out of a hole in the sand, going, oh, or something's got her underneath and is pulling her down. Used to terrify me, you know.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's a movie called Mausoleum.
Okay.
Not a great movie, but the artwork is, you see a mausoleum and then there's like a skull that's over the top of it. I guarantee if you saw it, be like, oh yeah. Yeah.
I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
And it's got a pretty good following. It's not a great movie, but it's got its moments. It's got things in it that makes you go, all right. And I've got to go with the poster for, this is not VHS. This is the poster for Prophecy, which is the mutated bear movie. That little creature that's in the egg thing.
Oh, I was going to say the Christopher Walken movie? Like...
No. The crazy paper mill dumping mercury into the water and crazy Indians fighting a inside-out bear.
Hell yeah.
You ever seen The Prophecy?
I have not.
All right, I'm about to make you a list.
All right, I was like, when you said it, I was like, that's the Christopher Walken movie where he's.
You know how we talk about how cool the sleeping bag scene is in Friday the 13th or whatever? This one's got it beat.
All right.
It's got the best sleeping bag scene, period. Bo Ransdale will back me up on that.
Dude, I'm in. So let me ask you this, mentioning the sleeping bag scene.
Yeah.
Okay. I've pointed this out to a couple of people and they think about it and they're like, oh, no. So think about it like this. The girl is in her sleeping bag that zips at the bottom and opens at the top. She looks up, Jason looks down, and he reaches in and he grabs her, right? Kind of by her head. Then it shows him pulling her out of the thing, and then he turns around and smashes her against the tree. Not saying it wouldn't hurt, but he smacked her legs, not her head.
Yeah. Good point.
He's like, ugh. She like falls out and she's all smashed by the head. I'm like, wait, when did she get a chance to flip over?
Right.
Unless she like crawled in and was like trying to crawl out the bottom of the sleeping bag or something. But
right.
It's like
they have to dissect that scene a little bit more and dive into that. That's a good point. Because in your mind you're thinking, well, because when he hits her on the tree, it makes a spot like it's her head, right? Yeah. Good point. Yeah, this one, I think the Prophecy's got it beat, man. The Prophecy is, this land is owned by Indians, Native American Indians, and the paper mill is trying to get the trees and stuff off of it, and they're dumping mercury into the water, the lake there, because they're a paper mill, it's a byproduct, and all the animals there are either enormous or bat crap crazy, man. Nice. There's a scene in there where this raccoon goes crazy on some people. But it all comes down to the Indians saying that there's a defender, right? That, rights the wrongs of the earth being mistreated. And it's this big bear, some kind of Indian spirit. And so you remember the movie Grizzly, right? Oh, yeah. The other Jaws ripoff. So think of that kind of movie, but with the bear. It's almost like it's mutated, super huge. And then you get the Dragon Slayer kind of story where Talia Shayer's in it, right? Nice. Adrian. And she's lost a baby, and she finds this bear's baby like in a net coming down through a stream. She saves the baby. And from that point on, this bear is chasing her to get her baby back. Movie's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
That sounds...
the first time I'd ever seen a decapitation was in this movie.
I'll have to check that out because that actually sounds pretty awesome.
I absolutely love that movie.
Mutated bear.
Yeah.
Adrian, like there's too much good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty dang awesome. Of course, you got people out camping out in the woods and stuff, and of course, bear comes along and ruins their trip.
You know, dude, have you seen the movie The Revenant? Leonardo?
Yeah.
It's, man, my wife was like, I want to go see it. It's supposed to be so good. I want to go see it. It's so, and so like, I've never been, like, I don't dislike the guy. I always just kind of thought he was overrated. I thought DiCaprio, I'll even say him. He's like, DiCaprio. He's all right, but he's not, and like, if you're listening, if Leonardo DiCaprio is listening to this right now, I don't mean it as an insult. I just, you know, you're pretty good, but I don't understand what the girls, they're just all like, oh my God. But sitting there watching this movie, she's like, first of all, she's like, I want to go see this movie. What do you want to do? I was like, dude, it's a beautiful day. I don't want to go see a movie. I want to go outside and play. She's like, I want to go see this movie. So we go to this movie, sit down, and she leaves when the Indians start attacking them and those arrows are hitting them and they're like, they're big old fat arrows and they're like, boom, like, ah. She's like, oh, I can't handle it. So she bounces and leaves me to watch this. And I'm sitting there watching this bear attack. And I'm just like, dude, how much would it suck?
Yeah.
Like, and it is like, my mind's like, you live in a world without cell phones and you got those critters cruising around the forest, you know?
Right.
Like, oh, you get hurt, then what you get to do is wrap yourself up in a tarp. That's medicine. Like,
that's it.
Like, oh God, that would suck. And that bear just does not give up. It's been shot like 8 times. It's like, just one more time. Just one more time. And it didn't even have the courtesy to like fall down next to him where he could eat it either. It like crawled up in the woods and died somewhere. You're like, but yeah, man, bears are scary. Bears are mean. Like, there's no like, ugh.
And then you got the Day of the Animals where Leslie Nielsen fights a bear, like mano a mano. One of the greatest fight scenes ever in movie history. It's just so bizarre. And just, you know, you're wanting to go, what were you thinking? I mean, it's a bear.
Scott tells a story of this guy.
Stripped his shirt off and goes, come on!
Scott tells a story of when he's growing up in Louisiana with all his Creole, coon-ass, weirdo. It's like, oh, we're going to go hunt gators. He said he had I don't know if it was like his uncle or his buddy or whatever. It was like, he's just like look at a gator and then like jump in and grab him and like stab him and stuff. He said dude like goes down, gator goes down, dude goes down, water calms, comes up, dude's got the gator and the gator's not giving it up. The gator keeps going into a roll and dude's like, he's too big. He can't let him go. He can't let go of the gator because if he does, the gator will get him, but he can't break him. I'm like, dude, listening to this guy's story, I'm just like, oh my God.
All right. That leads me into, I have to do this because you brought this up. I'm going to tell you my favorite joke of all time. It's a little long. All right. This guy's walking down the street, don't have a nickel to his name, needing money really bad, walks by a bar. There's a sign that says $200 to anybody that can do 3 things. So he walks in there, he goes up to the bar and it's like, I'm interested in that money. What have I got to do? He said, well, first thing you got to do is you got to go down here at the end of this bar. And that guy sitting down there at the end of the bar, his name is Enos. He's never been knocked off that bar stool. You got to knock him off that bar stool. It's like, okay, what's the second thing? He said, second thing, he said, you got to go outside, out back here. He said, we got a little swamp. He said, we got an alligator out there. And he's got a bad tooth. He said, you got to go out there and you got to pull that tooth for that alligator. Oh, okay. He said, what's the third thing? He said, third thing, you got to go upstairs. He said, upstairs is Big Bertha. 400 pounds, ain't never been satisfied by a man. You got to satisfy Big Bertha. He goes, okay, I think I'll give it a shot. He takes off running. He goes down to the end of the bar, pops old Edis in the face. He falls off on the floor and everybody's like, holy crap, that's never been done before. And he runs out the back door, and you hear him shut the door, and you hear him go, yeah! And he jumps in the water, and you hear splashing and screaming and growling going on for about 10 minutes. Then it gets real quiet. He opens up the door, comes in, bloody from head to toe. Shirts, clothes are all ripped up. He walks up to the bar and collapses right at the foot of it. The bartender's like, son, you all right? He said, yeah. He said, just give me 5 minutes. He said, let me catch my breath. So he sits there for a minute. He jumps up and goes, all right, now where's that big woman needs that tooth pulled?
It's a good one. Oh man, the art of the joke has gone away. The art of joke has gone away. Oh man. Well, dude, I'm done with my list. Like I said,
me too.
There's so many good things out there that
there's a ton more that we could bring up. I mean, I think of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I never rented it, but I picked it up so many times to look at the artwork. A movie called The Abomination.
Mm-hmm. Dolls. With the little
Dolls?
Girl. Dude, yeah.
Yeah. The Incredible Melting Man. I mean, I used to see that cover and go, what the crap?
Well, the stuff. The
yeah.
stuff looks all sweet and innocent, and you're like, what?
Till you look on the backside.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, the original Demons. When Demons came out, the artwork that I saw in the video stores it showed one of the real evil looking demon standing there, and it just had pink letters that said Demons across the top.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other version that I fell in love with that actually made me rent it was drawn, and it was a demon's hand like this, and it looked like a theater, seating of people was in his paw, and bodies were hanging out of it and stuff. Killer artwork. And lo and behold, I mean, I've been a Demons fan ever since. That movie is just so awesome.
I'm friends with Amelia Kincaid on Facebook, actually. Met her at the last event. It was pretty awesome. So, yeah.
That's Night of the Demons, though, right?
Is that Night of the Demons? Or okay, never mind. You're right. That's Night of the Demons. Sorry.
Yeah, this is the Lamberto Bava Italian flick.
Right on.
Where they're in the movie theater and all the stuff starts happening in the theater.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. But awesome. Yeah, you're like Demons.
That's all right.
Yeah, there was like 4 of them. Well, cool, man. Well, that was a pretty fun episode. Watch the video so that you can see all these album covers, all these movie covers. Funny how the movie covers never got as much flack as the album covers,
Yeah, it's true.
But I guess you just knew if you were watching it, if it was already rated R, it's probably bad news for you.
Something about music was way more dangerous than movies were for some reason. I've never understood that. You could play the devil in a movie and everybody was okay with it, but if you made an album trying to be evil like Merciful Fate or any of that stuff, then you were the devil. It's like, no, this guy's the devil because he was actually the devil. Tim Curry's the devil.
Oh man. All right, dude. Well, I'm gonna close it down. That was episode, and we will see you next week.